I love it. What the fuck? I forced my wife to watch that a couple of times. I was so proud of myself. So anyway, hey everyone, those that are out there. Oh
Oh,
man, we already have 13 people watching this on either YouTube or Facebook. Hey everyone, good to see you. Happy Friday. I can't believe it. So uh, with me today is, of course, Angela, phoning in from Boise, Idaho. Angela, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I was surprised with that, just so people know that he
Yeah,
doesn't tell me when he's changing music
yeah.
or doing anything. He just does it.
I had the
And
week off this week, so I had a little bit of extra time on my hands, and I learned how to do things like that. So yeah. And Jackie from Maryland, how you doing, Jackie?
Hey, I'm pretty well. Glad to be here with you guys.
Oh, I'm so glad that you could join us. This is going to be, well, it's a timely topic with Thanksgiving being just next week.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these things sneak up on us. And Angela mentioned, she said, she went to a meeting online, of course, and the topic was the holidays. And she was kind of like, man, everybody's acting like we're all going to be getting together at the table. It's not that kind of, the advice that you get normally in an AA meeting about what to do when you're gathering around people really is kind of different this year when a lot of the problems not being able to see people. So I don't know. We got a lot to talk about. Where should we begin? Jackie, do
I
you want to give us some perspective to start off, maybe?
I actually thought it would be nice to hear what Angela heard at the meeting.
oh
If
yeah.
you
There you
right,
go. That's a good intro.
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
I'm being bossy.
Yeah, you're it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was an okay meeting. It just surprised me because it was on the subject was how to get through the holidays. But what was talked about was a lot of the stuff that most of us have heard, and that we generally use for getting through the holidays, prior to a pandemic. And so there were things like, drive yourself if you have to go to a party or a gathering or
Right, so you
a
can escape.
Thanksgiving thing, yeah, so that you can leave whenever you want to.
Yep.
Because some people, I know I've been to gatherings with people, both pre sobriety and post, where I wasn't driving, and so then you're kind of stuck there until that other person wants to leave. So driving yourself was always an important one, as well as bring a sober friend if you can, and if you are at a gathering, have your own beverage in your hand, because people often like to make sure that you have a beverage, and so if you have one, then not only will people not ask you if you need one, but also you're in control of what goes in and stays in that beverage and which beverage is yours. And some accidents, things can happen when people are using the same red cups and such, and you go to grab the one you think is yours and it's actually got alcohol in it. So some of those things that we usually talk about, and so it was surprising to me because my understanding is that we really shouldn't be getting together for any sort of gatherings for this year. That yes, I know some people have little pods that they've put together of people who have the similar agreement or arrangement in how they interact with the outside world right now, so that they can stay safe. Several of my friends that are healthcare workers have that, because their partners also have to be extremely isolated because of the work that their significant other does. And so they've created little pods with other healthcare workers so that they can have some sort of a holiday, or just the social interaction that we still need. So so it's different this year, and that wasn't brought up at all during the meeting. That yeah, we're not supposed to be getting together on that for that holiday, or any other holiday for a while. And so I think that there's different coping mechanisms or coping tools, healthy things that we should probably be keeping in mind, or thinking about to get through the holidays. Also, just the emotional impact of that. As I got sober, continued to stay sober, I started to develop, the idea that one, I don't have to go hang out with my family if I don't want to, or, people that I always thought, well, I have to show up to whatever dinner. I don't have to do that. So got to that level. But then now I've created, a group, a family group, and friends and stuff that I like to get together on holidays. And in our household, because we're secular, the Thanksgiving holiday was probably the most important, because it was surrounding food and then family and friends. And then we'd play board games and stuff like that. And then I'd watch the National Dog Show, because
I've always liked Thanksgiving better too. There's no pressure with Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And
right.
so
no gifts.
no gifts, just food. And so so it's always been more important to us. And so it is a difficult one, that we're not going to be able to do that and to gather like we normally do at this time in that way. And so working with that there's going to be some grief around that. Also the families that have lost people either due to COVID or just have lost people, and so not only are they not having the thing, but they also have the usually the holidays often bring up memories for us of different really people, different things. And so, kind of, I thought it would be good for us to talk about the different ways that we, have worked through staying sober and through the holidays, both before COVID and now, some of the ideas and suggestions that we've heard. Some of them may still be the same as before, like with HALT, hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. That's still going to be helpful for getting through the holidays. If you find yourself really agitated, checking with yourself on those 4 things before you send out an email blast, or yell at the one person you're allowed to be around, or whatever it is. That's still going to be helpful, but there's I think a lot of other things that we can take advantage of to help us stay sober and as healthy as possible through this. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. And Angela, it was serendipitous when you reached out to me and asked, if I'd come on here, because I was feeling quite blue that day, because my family was making decisions about what to do. I mean, it's not like we ever were going to have a big crowd, but it came down to the fact that we're going to have nobody here, that we can't chance it. Even people that I might have seen outside hiking, my nieces or my grandnieces, it just feels, we can't do it. We can't chance it. And so it was really serendipitous for me to join tonight, because this is being of service to others. And that's an adage of recovery that's always worked, to kind of reframe things. It doesn't take away my sadness that I am kind of sad about some of this. And, when I first got sober, I think many of us, had that crazy family. I come from a long line of good drinkers, and, I did all of the stuff you were suggesting. I had an escape plan. I took a sober friend. But I do remember seeing some folks in AA who would just have these sober gatherings. And that was always my fantasy. I want to get married. I want to have a home. I want it to be so comfortable. And I want to always open it up to sober folks around the holidays. And I've always been able to do that. I mean, not right away, but 10 years into my recovery. And that's sad too, because really I didn't have to like you a whole lot to have you come over for Thanksgiving if you needed to. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but you you didn't have to be my best friend. If you
Right.
were just, if you didn't have family in town or anything, like, you were welcome. And so those are also, the kinds of things I'm missing. Just not being able to be of service. And also, I mean, I don't know how many people know this, but I'm a mental health therapist. And so, gosh, I feel like everybody, all of my patients are dealing with this on some level. And it's funny because a couple of people are saying, I'm thinking of a mother, with a teenager and a college kid or whatever. And she's like, it's not that I'm in some ways not looking forward to my family just being here together, just the 4 or 5 of us or whatever. She said, but we're together all the time. The kids are doing online school. Both parents are working from home, so it's like, it's just an odd dynamic and a frustrating and difficult dynamic this year.
Yeah, so there may be some like guilt and shame that, you're not looking forward to it.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, that it's not something that you want to do, and frustration. How about you, John?
Well, I was thinking about this earlier today, and I wrote you, texted you when you suggested the topic. I don't have much of a family, especially around here. I've got a brother. I got 2 brothers and a sister, basically, and my younger brother is homeless and schizoaffective, and I said we don't know where he is. I always think about him on the holidays anyway. And then I've got my older brother in Florida, and then my sister here. And then recently we've had a death in the family. My sister's husband, my brother-in-law, died on Halloween. And I did go see her before he died, and I visited with him. And that was odd because, I didn't hug my sister, and we stayed at a 6 feet distance, and we were wearing masks.
Yeah.
And I have her in my thoughts. There was no service for him, and that's a weird thing because it's like I never really realized how much those memorial services and gatherings at the home where you bring over food and so forth, what kind of how that helps. It helps you understand that something happened. And so for me, it's like I just have these thoughts of my sister and feeling sad for her, or realizing that he really is gone. And so I'll call my sister. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is to use the phone. And that's actually advice that they gave me early on, is to use the phone by calling an AA member, if you're feeling kind of squirrely on the holidays. As when I was newly sober, I mean, and when I say newly sober, I mean like my first 5 years.
Right. Me too. Yeah.
I
hear the first 20 is the hardest. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the
I wish I could say I had things together, but I was not comfortable around my family those early years. In fact, the first year, I did not spend Thanksgiving with my family at all. I went over to some sober friends in AA and went over to their house, and it took me a while to kind of build up that being comfortable with family. But now I'm totally comfortable, but I'm not around my family. I'm around my wife's family, and she's got a big mixed blended family like so many Americans do. And I'll miss seeing them. But as far as the COVID thing goes, it's hardest for my wife's parents, obviously. I think because they're alone, and my wife and I will be here alone. We'll play some games, I guess, and she'll like that. But I don't know. That's what's going on here. I don't think it's not going to hit me till it gets here, but I think I'm prepared.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like, I don't know if you guys are experiencing this or anyone who's listening, but I feel like there's this kind of weird peer pressure. And maybe it's just because I tend to be a real people person, that I can see how easy it is to, I don't know, be with somebody and they're crying and you want to comfort them and you want to hug them. or just, where again, for me, I've hunkered down a little more because this COVID stuff, at least where we are in Maryland, it's coming closer, very, very close. We've had some outbreaks at my work, and it's not that I wasn't exactly reckless, but it's just, I'm having to kind of slow my roll even more. And so, certain people are like, well, we can come over. We saw you last month. And I'm just like, I can't do it. But I do feel that little bit of a peer pressure to please and to accommodate, and it's funny. Somebody said to me early on, she has aging parents. I mean, I'm not judging her, but she said, she was very angry. She said, what is this with people saying everyone's doing the best they can? She said, what if everybody just does the right thing? And I thought, well, that's harsh, because I do think I get it. I mean, I've always wished since I was a little young toddler that everybody would do exactly what I wanted, but that isn't what happens. And I guess we can say there's a right thing, but I do think people are making hard choices, especially people that live all alone, completely alone. I just think it's really difficult. So yeah, I think there's peer pressure, and then I think there's judgment. I've felt a lot of judgment when I do make decisions not to. Again, I haven't done this for months and months and months, but in the summer, I made some decisions that I felt judged about. And so, I got on an airplane. I'll say it out loud. Sorry, everyone.
Hey,
Don't judge me.
airplanes are actually safer than you might think.
Oh, good.
I was actually
did a
talking
ton
to a
of
pilot
research.
yesterday, and it's because how they circulate the air, they're actually fairly safe for COVID. Anyway.
Yeah, every 30 seconds. And
Yeah.
and at that point, I was on a Southwest flight, and there's only like 60 people on it, and the airports were empty. But still, I felt a lot of judgment.
I know.
So I think that these are some of the things people are dealing with, right? Guilt, judgment, peer pressure,
and resentment.
Yes.
Because right now our numbers in Boise are way out of control. Where Idaho is overrunning its system as we speak, and so I'm seeing posts and things from friends, that their kids are now getting sick, and then they're urging everyone to wear a mask, and that they got sick from going to a restaurant and stuff. And so there's part of me that is really frustrated because I've been so isolated. I'm like, what's a restaurant? And
Right.
and that the only time I really go out is to take my dog for a walk, and I wear a mask sometimes, depending on if I'm going to be in an area. We have a green belt is what it's called in Boise, and it's like a walking path by the river. If I'm going over in that area, I take a mask because I might see some other people there. But I get bad at, and which is, bah, like I'm a sheep. And so, so then I get resentful about that. And
Right.
so the holidays with the pandemic and polarization of families, I don't even have some nice feelings towards some of my extended family members anymore, because of the polarization in our country. So then there's some of that as well, some mixed feelings of what does that mean, and does that mean I'm not a nice person, and all of that fun stuff. So it's just I think the holidays are ripe with stuff that can trip us up in our recovery. And so talking about it for me is one of the things that helps me to be realistic, to not try to deny, feelings, to cover them up, and to get it out there in case that might help somebody else as well. So.
Jackie, people want to know who you are.
Yeah. Who the hell are you?
I don't know. Why am I on here? I'm Jackie, and I live just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And I don't know, I got got to be a groupie of Angela and John, and so I begged them to please let me on this podcast sometime, and that's how I got here. No, just kidding. So yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Well, you joined us
sober.
early on. You were on a live stream early on here, and you talked. What was
Yeah,
that episode about?
mindfulness
Mindfulness.
in
That's right.
recovery.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Because she's
so,
also a therapist and does some work with her degree on
True.
mindfulness. Yeah, and so she's been kind of a secret consultant to us at times, and sometimes a not so secret consultant calling in. And so,
and you always see her in the YouTube chat room on every live stream. She's got the little. Is that a poodle?
Kind of. Yeah, it's a mixed dog. Yeah, yeah, why don't I have a button?
You have to
badge?
join.
What?
You have to join the our YouTube channel to get that. So we have this is
it's a new thing. It just started.
It's a new thing. It's a new thing. You're already
you're
already a patron on Patreon.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't expect you to join the channel also. But if you join the channel, you get a badge.
Yeah,
I'm going to. I want a badge.
So
I feel less than.
We can work on that during this episode.
Yeah, please. Can you help me? I need therapy. Oh, geez. Yeah.
So there you go. Hopefully that helps people understand who Jackie is and why she's here.
Oh, and she does have long-term sobriety. I think we kind of forgot to mention that, a couple of decades or so of sobriety. Yeah. So she might have some experience that would be helpful.
I'm old and I haven't died yet, so I have long-term sobriety. But also I became a secular member or I don't even, an atheist late in my recovery, which I think is unusual. Right. I think a lot of times it's the other way. People come in an atheist and then they find the truth, and I gave up the truth. So I was really happy to find Angela and John because they literally changed my recovery, and I have spread the word here in Maryland to far and wide, and it's been really lovely. So
you were talking before we started recording, I believe it was before we started recording, and you said one thing that helps with all this holiday stuff is to kind of put things in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about, well, it's just this next year won't be so bad. Next year we might be able to get together.
Yeah. It's funny. I talked to somebody this week who was feeling quite light with all the news of a vaccine, and I haven't really, because I'm more of a pessimist, I guess. But she was saying well, I don't know. It feels kind of good to hear this news about a vaccine, and that there's an end in sight, even if the end is May or June or July, and that kind of helped me, right? Yes, by next year, we probably won't be dealing with a pandemic. And I do think, not just recovering people, but human beings in general. I think sometimes our stuff gets a little more turned up. We want what we want when we want it. I think that's why you hear so much in the meetings. Oh, these are all suggestions, right? Because if anybody tells us to do something, we kind of put our foot down. But I think, so that's what a lot of people are feeling, damn it, I'm going to be with my family this year and you can't stop me. And, I wonder if for some of those folks, and we probably all know one or two, if we could just help them, push a little pause button, step back a few feet and get some perspective. What you will have next year, like Angela was saying, I think maybe before we started, you could have a Thanksgiving in April.
It's just I heard someone say on TV today, it's just a date on the calendar.
Right. I think we're gonna have pizza.
Yeah.
Right.
I know people are like, what? Even if you're not gathering with your families, there should still be turkey and mashed potatoes and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, I think I'm gonna do pizza. And my sister insists on a turkey, so I think she's going to make one, and we'll, drop some leftover type stuff off for mom on the doorstep, and so then mom can put some turkey on her pizza because that's what I'm doing. But yeah, so you don't have to do the same things. Just like we recreated the lives that we wanted, most of us, or that we're okay with, I guess. And we can do that for the holiday. You can celebrate it, in April or whenever, works for you. It doesn't have to be on that day. But, also recognizing that a lot of us have certain memories attached to holidays. And so, yes, I can celebrate it in April, but there will be, some sadness for me on that day because of, memories that I had that are special, which is kind of funny because in early sobriety, it was memories that were negative that I,
I'm sorry, we have a
was
caller.
afraid to
Oh,
think about.
woohoo.
Let's see who this is. Sorry for interrupting you, Angela.
Hi,
Oh,
hi, John. Good
who-
evening.
good evening.
It's Fred. Fred in Virginia.
Hi, Fred in Virginia. How are you?
Good. I've been listening to your conversation tonight, and I thought the slogan "One day at a time" makes a lot of sense because if we're thinking about the future too much, it's got us ahead of time. And you all have long-term sobriety, and thinking, planning for the future is great, but we have to live this day.
Yep.
The holiday's not here yet. So we have to get through today.
That's true.
But when we get there, I hope none of you drink, and I don't think you will because we've got good sobriety under our belts.
So what are you doing on Thanksgiving, Fred?
I was invited to my neighbor's mother and father's house. I have some neighbors, two young fellas, and I'm by myself, So I had to turn them down because they live in Maryland, and it's a hot spot near where they live.
Mm.
And we're not supposed to leave the state of Virginia. The governor said the travels advisory and all this kind of stuff, and they're trying to keep everybody home and safe. So, I told them, I said, I'd love to go. I'd like to meet your folks and your sister. And I told them, I said, they moved here about less than a year ago. We've become neighborly, and I'm not for it. And
Sure.
As for my existing family, I've learned not to feed into situations that I have no way of protecting myself with active libations flowing and all the stuff that just causes stuff. And the funny thing is that a lot of people talk about I heard Angela talking about the stuff, but if people are going to be causing chaos instead of trying to, just have a nice day or a holiday or any day like we live is a good day, because we're happy to be here and we're okay with that, I thought it was more like if they're going to cause controversy, because I heard the word anger, resentment, and of course we have remorse because of the things we couldn't have done for the ones that we loved when they were there, because we were all caught up in what we were doing, and all the things that I've learned. I'd like to be more social, a social creature more, but I practice mindfulness too, and my mind is like this.
Yeah.
I know who I am. I know what's inside. I know how I feel. I know what I need. I know what I want. I know how to act. I know how to live. I'm not the person who I was. So, if they still don't want me in their lives, I'm doing the right thing by living sober.
There you go.
So that's it.
Sounds like you have it together. You know what? I have to make this comment, but the sound quality is exceptional on the phone today. Not that you might care, Fred.
I got a new phone, John.
Oh, do you have a new phone?
I got a new
Oh,
phone, John.
oh well, maybe that's why. It's
That's
amazing.
it.
It's incredible. I love it. Yeah, your
Yeah.
voice. You sound really, really good. So anyway,
Well,
thank you.
Go ahead and take care of everybody there, because
All
you
right.
know your podcast is good. I just wanted to put my 2 cents, and I did. So
I appreciate it.
just remember, all we have is that one day to get through.
Gotcha.
We don't need to go back in the past and pick up all the garbage and drag it with us.
Yep.
And we don't need to project into the future like this is going to happen or that's going to happen, or if only I had done this or a plan for that or whatever. Just live it today. That's all that matters.
That's exactly what I
Yeah.
needed to hear. Well, thank you for calling. I appreciate it. It's nice to hear from you. And I hope you do have a nice Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year as well.
Well,
But-
thank you. I have thanks and gratitude every single day,
Yeah, that's the way to be. Well, thank you,
know.
Fred. It was so nice to hear from you.
because from the steps it taught us how to be grateful. So, if you're doing the steps and you're doing your inventory and you're doing all the things that you need to take care of, you're actually living a grateful life.
All right.
Because where would we be if we were drinking? We wouldn't be having the opportunity to converse or even have any kind of things.
Exactly. I don't even know if I'd even be here. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. So the situation is a dilemma, because the pandemic says stay put, stay at home, don't congregate, don't socialize, take care of yourself, protect your body, protect your mind, protect what you have inside you that conducts your life, and live the best you can right now with this deadly virus that's here. And why give it to somebody else when you don't have to?
Right. Okay.
Or
Well,
if you got it,
yep.
yeah, the kids are getting it. I mean, in the city where I'm living, they said that yesterday 2,000 people or so around here had just gotten it. It's just increasing rapidly.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when it was only 60 in the city. Now it's over 60,000.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
That's something.
It's kind of like and the deaths too. It's like 1,800 deaths.
Yeah.
So just in the city. So
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with drinking. It
Yeah.
might be a motivation to drink if you're very unhappy
Yeah.
by being isolated all by yourself. But if you have a cell phone, at least you could call somebody.
There you go. And you
Think
have a new one.
about that, Yeah, you need the way out. You need the way out, up and out of your pain and
Oh.
misery.
Fred?
How you live before. Yeah.
Fred, we have another caller. I'm going to have to say goodbye and take this next call. Would you mind?
God bless.
Good.
If there's
Happy
if you
Thanksgiving.
believe in God, if you don't,
If you believe in
if
God.
you don't,
If you don't,
believe in
hey,
God,
whatever.
if you want chaos in your life,
Mhm.
so be it.
There you are.
Chaos is everywhere.
Okie
We
dokie.
can't control anything. So
All right.
however you think about it, take care of yourself.
You will.
another caller,
Bye-bye.
and thanks. And nice to have a guest on. That's good.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
There he goes.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, Fred.
Thanks, Fred. All right. There's
Bye.
Fred. Bye-bye.
Happy.
Okay, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to make you go so soon. No, I love his accent, by the way. And now, hello.
Hi, this is Jill calling
Hi,
from
Jill.
Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh,
Hi, how are you?
how you doing?
Hi,
I'm a friend
Jill.
of Jackie's, actually. Hi, Jackie. It's really good to listen.
Are you a friend? Are you a friend of
and I
Bill's too?
I'm a friend of Jackie and Bill, actually, and John and Angela, too.
Yay.
Yay. Yeah, but it's just such a good topic. I've been sober for a little while and broken many, many traditions. And I don't really struggle with that. But the struggle for me right now is we had plans to go to Hershey Park for Thanksgiving. And we've already, purchased our tickets and had our hotel. And now there's a directive to get negative COVID. And, it's just a lot more planning and going against the grain of what a lot of the advice is to do on Thanksgiving. And that fear of, am I going to be judged? Am I doing the right thing? It's hard to, I want to people please and I want to make people happy, but I also want to do the right thing. Just a lot of many different feelings and issues come up, I think, around the holidays.
Yeah.
Sober
Well,
or not.
and Jill, your family had it hard with your son's bar mitzvah too. I mean, that was a big disappointment for you all, right?
Yeah. Yep. And we actually, we had a service in our home. He was able to become a bar mitzvah. But, the best part of a bar mitzvah is the party. And we postponed it until April 2021. And now it's looking like we probably won't be able to even have that. And so, we just kind of looking for the silver lining. And the silver lining is we may have enough money saved to maybe do a trip instead down the line when it's safe again. So, it's so sad. My 13-year-old is in 8th grade, and he said to me the other day, "Mom, I just want to be able to go to high school. High school is supposed to be the best years of my childhood, and I don't know if I'm ever going to step foot inside the school." So, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching something on television the other day about how difficult this is for kids, not being able to see their friends and so forth. But yeah, tough times.
Yeah, and tough for the mom who has to stay with them all the time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I'm feeling a lot of, what's so, like in the beginning it was like, oh, great, we get, to really slow down and spend time with families and, but this is going on 8 months now. So what's so special about the holidays?
Exactly.
The same 4 people that I've been with for 8 months.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're going to be home then with Thanksgiving with your immediate family and having Thanksgiving dinner and so forth. Yeah.
So we usually we change the tradition all up. We usually have Thanksgiving dinner on Wednesday night, and then we travel on Thursday. That's probably not going to be happening this year. So yeah. But I'm a big proponent of, if you can't have it on the actual day of Thanksgiving, then you have it when it works for you.
Yeah. I actually like what you said about breaking traditions. Sometimes traditions become a real rut, but that's just my opinion.
They do. Yeah, they do. They tie you to things that might not be the best or most healthy thing for you in your sobriety. So
yeah.
And it's like Angela was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Angela was saying, like, I think a lot of times in our early sobriety, we kind of feel like we should keep doing the same things and showing up for our families or whatever. And then as we grow up in recovery, we learn that we don't have to do things out of obligation, that we can actually just be good to ourselves. We can say no, we can make other plans, but boy, that takes a while. That takes a bunch of growth, I think, and honesty. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And bravery.
Yes, bravery. Yes. Yeah.
Well, Jill, thank you for calling.
I'm so glad you are having this. Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's nice to hear from you.
Bye-bye.
It's good to have 2 callers today. Wonderful. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jill.
There she goes. Yeah, Angela said it's been a while since we've had any callers, and here we do. Here we go. We've got 2 already.
Yeah, and so you guys have already made
Yes.
John's Thanksgiving
Yeah.
because
Yay.
you called in. So yay, it's all good.
I did want to mention something. David texted or made a comment here about the Alcathon that we have in Kansas City. And I know they have Alcathons all over the place, but and he said that he would miss that. I do too. The one that I always went to, David, was the one at the Paseo group. And I think it's been the last 5 years I would always speak there. And it's something I always looked forward to. I would speak sometimes at midnight or some crazy time, but I always enjoyed it. And actually I would make a podcast out of it too. I'd always record what I had to say. Anyway. But I'm gonna miss that. I'm sure that I know the Unity group here in KC is going to be doing it on Zoom. I don't know if the Paseo group will be doing that, but those alcathons are kind of fun. I don't know if Angela and Jackie, if you do alcathons at all, but something I kind of get a kick out of.
I did early on. I went to several of them and like helped with preparing for food for them, things like that.
Mhm.
But I haven't, for a long time because that's really late.
Yeah.
Some of them go really late, and again, I've created things that I like for my own family recovery,
Right.
that kind of a thing. And so I watched the National Dog Show. And I haven't even bothered to check. I mean, are they going to have the National Dog Show? I mean, I
Right.
may be calling you guys if
Yeah.
they're not. And not that I think you should buy dogs. I like the adopting type thing, but I
Yeah.
like to see what all the dogs are and how they're supposed to look. And they're some really funny haircuts and stuff. So anyway, it's
You might be
entertaining
watching a
to me.
rerun.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I mean, because it's basically the same dogs. They're different dogs, but it's the same breeds each time. So they could do that, and I probably would not even notice, except not seeing people with masks on. That might be a clue to me.
We
But
have
yeah, but
another
that's always
caller.
something that I do.
Let's see who this is. Hello.
Hi, that was a quick beeping noise.
Oh,
My
cool.
name's Artie,
Hi, Artie.
and hi. So the one thing I was thinking about for the holidays was the amount of shame I actually felt while I was at the function with my family members. Not the way to escape, or I definitely needed that. And, when I was early in sobriety, having a car and having an Alcathon, and I would already have that excuse to leave early
Yeah.
and say, I'm going to this Alcathon. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that everybody that's listening to this podcast is going to probably socially distance themselves.
Sure.
But yeah, with the numbers skyrocketing, it's like, I know my mom and dad want to see me and it's going to be small, but they're 66 and the numbers are horrible, and that's probably not a good age to catch the coronavirus. So you have to really think about that. But really, when I think about the holidays and early sobriety, it's nice now. I've been sober for long enough that I don't even think about drinking. My partner, drinks occasionally. There's alcohol in the house. It's a non-issue unless I'm really not doing good. And I couldn't tell you the last time that happened, but if it did happen, we'd get rid of the alcohol. But so that's not really an issue. But what was an issue was for years, until I had enough time sober and enough time with good behavior to rebuild the relationships with my family and the people that I spent the holidays with. I mean, I would just show up with shame because it's close family. So they knew the disaster I was. They knew the hurt that I put everybody through. They knew about all the lying and the cheating and the ruined opportunities. And, my family's very well educated and successful, and I drank my way right out of those. I had those opportunities. I drank my way right out of them. So you're showing up at a family function, and you were supposed to be this person, and you threw it in the trash can because of drinking, and I just felt like such a loser around those people because I couldn't just, shrug it off around them and say, hey, I screwed this up, but I'm doing pretty good now. You didn't know the full story, but they did. And,
I relate. I had those same feelings, and it was funny. When you said about you'd always had like an escape route or something. I did too. I always said, I got to go to a meeting. I got this to do or that to do, and to get out of the house just as soon as I could. And it took a while for me to kind of get comfortable with everybody again, or again, maybe for the first time.
Artie, did you wind up? Did some of that guilt and shame push you into people pleasing or being overly obligated to your family in early sobriety or now or?
Pushed me into it. This is the story of my life before AA. And it's why I was such a liar. I mean, I had to lie to an incredible amount to make everybody happy because my life was such a disaster. And then my life became acceptable to me enough in sobriety where I didn't need to lie about it anymore. It's basically how I stopped lying. I didn't feel like I needed to anymore. It's so crazy. But it's still a problem. I still, my sister's in Connecticut. She won't leave the state. My brother's in Italy. I had to think about what country. So Barbara and I, my partner, are it, and we just got engaged, a couple of months ago.
Oh, congratulations.
So they wanted to have, it's been great. Nothing really changed for her.
I was going to say, it's totally different now, right? Everything's different.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's totally different that she's stressing out about everything with a wedding. So, other than that, everything's the same except for, I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm like, I don't want to spend $8 million, so let's figure out how we're going to do it. Other than that.
Oh, that could be a next podcast, John.
Other than that, everything's the same.
Right.
And at least I have her, man. That's living in a house by yourself right now. Oh. And I don't have kids. That's such a benefit, man. I can't imagine being stuck with little kids that are they got to get out. They got to socialize. Oh. Mm-hmm. And I have a job where I'm around 80 million people, which sketches me out. But at least I see people every day, so it's a double-edged sword. But then everybody's out, not wearing a mask and close quarters, and it's insane. And so, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, and I think after this year, people are in a point where they're fatigued and they really need family support. And missing that almost might be more of an issue for people in sobriety than going to it. Where going to it was a major issue before.
Right.
Right.
Now you have the perfect excuse to not do that. But there probably is as many people that need that family support to be around the people that love them, that are supporting them getting sober, that now don't have that group. So, there's podcasts and there's Zoom, and make a plan. Instead of make a plan for Alphathon in person, make a plan and dedicate and say, I'm going to go to this thing at 8:00, and make a plan to connect with your family. If it's not going to be a party, it's a week before it happens. So we're talking about it now, and be like, all right, let's not just not contact these people. We have Zoom, we have this. Let's make it a point to connect with as many people however we can until we can get through this thing. And that would be my advice
Right.
because, I need to connect to people or I'll isolate like crazy. So
Yeah.
I talked enough.
Yeah.
That's 7.5 minutes.
Oh, I'm glad you
Thanks,
called.
Artie.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
And I think he reminds all of us, anyone who's listening who is doing okay, who isn't suffering with some sort of depression or fatigue or whatever. Like, yeah, we have to reach out to those of us who, we just have to reach out to people. We have to keep
There's
reaching
some of
out
us
to
that aren't
people.
suffering from that.
I think some people are faring better than others.
Yes, I would say that
Oh, yeah.
that some have more access, I guess, to tools and things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just think of the a woman who I'm working the steps with right now, who I think she's got like 5 months sober, has 2 young kids, a job, a spouse with some issues, and I just can't imagine. I'm amazed how she stays sober, in a pandemic, right? Because I think when I had young kids, and my stress level got up or my anxiety or depression, like I could leave my house, I could leave my children and go to a meeting and then hang out after the meeting. And I just don't know. I mean, obviously people are doing it and that's great, but oh my gosh, what a mess,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. And I've said this before, on many podcasts talking with Angela, that I can't imagine if there was a pandemic when I was first getting sober. I don't know how I could have dealt with this. Honestly, I think about, oh man, just the way that my life was at that time, and the resources that I did not have, and it would have just been really, 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 really difficult. So my heart goes out to those that are struggling right now in sobriety and otherwise, just financially and every other way during this time. I know it's difficult. So.
One of the things that I was thinking of in the spirit of Thanksgiving, other than a bunch of people dying, which is in the spirit of Thanksgiving, technically, that writing like small little letters and cards to particularly to people who either are like elderly relatives that can't have visitors, or it's less safe for them to have visitors, or the parents that have kids and job and all that kind of stuff, and just saying one thing about them specifically. So not just hope you have a great Thanksgiving, but like something that they've either done, an impact that they've had on my life, that I feel like has made me a better person or contributes to something good, because I mean that feels good when particularly a snail mail. I mean people people go through.
I was a recipient of such a thing this last week, and I can tell you it was really made me feel good.
Yeah, and so I was thinking of doing that, over the next few days, to send some of those out, so that people will get them, and it helps, just a little bit, to remind people that they are not alone, even if they're alone in their home, but that they're loved and valued, and that's kind of what I think the spirit of the holidays are supposed to be about. They usually go to commercialism, but the spirit of gathering together is the value of being around the people that you assemble, whether it's your actual family, or for many years for me it was some family and some from my partner, and then friends both in the program and outside of the program that were at different spots of their lives, and like you said, Jackie, just needed some place to go, and so being with them and valuing them, and being grateful that I was able to do that at that time, And so, yeah, so this was another way that I thought, well, we can't do it in person, but this is actually something that might last a little longer, as far as, something they can look back at and be reminded that they made a difference in someone else's life. And that's something that keeps me going. That's, why I continue to do the podcast and go to meetings and stuff, is that maybe I can have an effect or make a difference in somebody else's life, so that they don't have to feel alone. And
I imagine, well, there's many and varied folks out here listening, but some might have been looking forward to a first sober holiday. Not many of us were, but and I think to use the same principles that we do when we get triggered or have a craving or an obsession to drink, to really be aware that they're just feelings, right? That feeling sad or getting a case of the fuckets, like, I picked a great year to get sober, everything shut down, like to really take care of yourself, right? Make sure that you have a bunch of numbers of people in recovery. There's, hundreds and hundreds of Zoom meetings, and, share your shit with somebody, because you are not alone.
And if you feel overwhelmed, my mom showed me an article earlier of that a friend sent her, of a woman who was talking about being depressed and that she couldn't even do the dishes. And her therapist just, suggested that she toss them in the dishwasher and wash them multiple times, because the big overwhelm is that there's all these different dishes and you have to pre-wash them and then you have to stack them and you have to.
Oh, wow.
And so the therapist like, why, just put them in there and wash them a couple of times, and,
right.
And that actually helped, and that with, laundry, do some laundry, but, shove the clothes wherever they fit. And if the only way you can take a shower is laying down, do that. And that made the difference, because now she can do all of the other things. So be kind to yourself, I guess, is the message on
Absolutely.
that. If you're struggling, then try not to worry about that stuff. That again, it's one day at a time, and the feelings do pass. Also, I think Jackie and I were mentioning there's a Tara Brach has a rain meditation that you can look up, and I found that particularly interesting because she describes a situation where she's at a dinner with family and feeling overwhelmed with a resentment or feelings, something along those lines. And so that's another thing that might be helpful if you're feeling struggling with what you're feeling, and how to work through that so that you're not just avoiding, the feeling bad, that you're actually looking at what it is, so that it can be relieved and you can process it and move on to the next holiday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is my birthday. In case people, were wondering, it goes Thanksgiving, my birthday, then Christmas, then New Year's, and it's very important. My family will tell you that you must know that. So, Anyway.
Well, that's the thing too, Angela. Like, there's so much. I put a link to the Tara Brach rain thing in the YouTube thing. But yeah, there's so many good podcasts. I mean, Tara Brach is a wonderful teacher. But there's so much out there. So if you're feeling alone, maybe investigate some of this stuff. There's so many. I mean, this podcast is great, not just the live stream, but the stuff John posts, and there's lots of other stuff. So just got to take care of yourself and definitely reach out. You don't have to go through this alone. You don't have to suffer in silence, just like you didn't with your alcoholism.
Well, it's hard to believe, but we've gone through an hour already. Thank you, Jackie, for joining us today, and thank you as always, Angela. It's been great. I love these Friday live streams. It's amazing how quick the hour goes by, and thank you for the people who called in. I'm already giving my thanks. How about that?
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, you guys. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm very grateful. So
thanks for joining us.
And that's it. That's another episode of AA Beyond Belief, the podcast. Thank you for listening, everybody. So we've got some episodes coming up here in the next couple of Wednesdays coming out that are going to be pretty good and interesting. And of course, we'll be back next Friday for another live stream. So until then, you all take care. Be well. We'll be talking again real soon. Bye-bye.